I slipped the red dress over my shoulders and let it fall, smooth and heavy, like blood down skin. "Let's give them a night they'll never forget," I said to my reflection, lips curled just enough to be dangerous. "My name is Thea. I'm 28, and tonight I'm walking back into the lion's den with a secret sharp enough to cut through every lie they ever told about me." The dress clung to my waist like it knew what I was about to do. I adjusted the strap, then stepped into my heels, steadying myself. My hands didn't shake. Not this time. Behind me, Yahir leaned in the doorway, watching me with that quiet, steady gaze that used to make my knees weak when we were kids. Now, it just made me feel safe. "You sure about this?" he asked. I turned to face him. "I've never been more sure of anything." He nodded once, then held out a black velvet box. "For Mia." I took it, heart tightening. She won't understand it yet. She will, eventually. The invitation had arrived a week ago, gold embossed and smug as hell. Regina's voice practically oozed through the paper. "You are cordially invited to celebrate the finalization of Mia's adoption." Like it was a wedding. Like she hadn't already stolen my daughter 10 years ago. I remember the day I signed the papers like it was yesterday. The room was cold, not just from the air conditioning, but from the way my mother sat across from me, arms folded, eyes flat. "You're not capable of raising a child, Thea," she said. "You can barely take care of yourself." Regina stood beside her, all pearls and patience. "We'll give her everything you can't. Stability, a real future." I was 17, raw, sleep-deprived, still bleeding. They told me Yahir had left, that he didn't want the baby, that he'd moved away and changed his number. I didn't know they'd intercepted his letters, that he'd shown up at the hospital and been turned away, that he'd begged to see me. I didn't know anything. I just remember Mia crying in the next room and my mother saying, "Be smart, Thea, sign the papers." So I did. And then I disappeared. I moved 3 states away, changed my number, and for years, I didn't look back. Not until I ran into Yahir at a bookstore in Chicago, 6 years later. He was standing in the self-help section, holding a copy of The Body Keeps the Score. We locked eyes. He dropped the book. "You," he said, voice cracking. And just like that, everything unraveled. He never left. He never gave up. They lied to both of us. We spent hours piecing it all together. His letters, my journals, the hospital records. Every thread led back to them. My mother, Regina. They stole him from me. Then they stole our daughter. But tonight, I'm taking something back. Sadie helped zip me up before we left. She looked me up and down, whistled low. "Damn, girl, you look like Karma in heels." I smirked. "That's the goal." She grabbed her keys. "Let's go burn the world down." The party was at Regina's house, a sprawling estate with a circular driveway and a fountain shaped like a swan. Of course it was. We pulled up in Yahir's car. Black, sleek, expensive. His success was the kind you couldn't hide. Not that we wanted to. The valet opened my door, eyes widening slightly when I stepped out. Yahir rounded the car and offered me his arm. I took it. We walked up the steps together, heads turning as we passed. I saw a woman nudge her husband and whisper, "Isn't that—" Yahir smiled politely but didn't slow down. Inside, the place looked like a Pinterest board exploded. White roses, string lights, champagne towers. And there she was, Regina, in a cream-coloured jumpsuit, hair slicked back, holding court like a queen. She turned, saw me. Her smile froze. Then her eyes moved to Yahir. The champagne flute slipped from her hand and shattered at her feet. I could have laughed. Instead, I walked right up to her, lips stretched into something that could pass for a smile. "Regine," I said, kissing her cheek. "You look surprised." She blinked. "Thea, I didn't think you'd actually come." "You invited me," I said sweetly. "Would have been rude not to." Her eyes flicked to Yahir. "And you brought a date." Yahir extended his hand. "Nice to see you again." She didn't take it. "I'm sorry, have we met?" she asked, voice brittle. He tilted his head. "You should remember me. You once called me garbage." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Hazel appeared then, her heels clicking like gunshots on the marble floor. She took one look at Yahir, and her face went pale. "Thea," she said, voice tight. "This is a private family event." I smiled. "Good thing I'm family." I felt eyes on us from every corner. Guests pretending not to stare. Michael, Regina's husband, approached, confused. "Everything okay here?" "Just catching up," I said. "It's been a long time." Then I saw her. Mia. She stood near the stairwell, wearing a pale blue dress and silver shoes. Her hair was pulled back, a little crooked. She was 10 now, taller, but her eyes were still mine. She looked at me like she knew me, like something inside her had just clicked into place. I couldn't breathe. She walked over slowly, cautiously. "Hi," she said. "I'm Mia." I crouched down, smiling through the sting behind my eyes. "Hi, Mia. I'm Thea." She tilted her head. "You smell like vanilla and rain." I laughed, a choked little sound. "That's a nice thing to say." She nodded, then looked at Yahir. "Are you famous?" He chuckled. "Not really." "I've seen you on YouTube," she said. "You made a robot that dances." Yahir grinned. Guilty. She looked back at me. "Are you his wife?" I looked at Regina, who was frozen behind her champagne tower, then back at Mia. "Yes," I said. "I am." Mia smiled. "You're really pretty." I swallowed hard. "So are you." She reached out and touched my hand. "You feel like someone I dreamed about?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, but I knew right then. This was only the beginning. I used to think I was the villain in my own story. That's what they made me believe. That I was reckless, unstable, unfit. That I should be grateful someone like Regina swooped in to save my daughter from me. But standing there in that party, with Mia's small hand brushing mine like it belonged there, I realized something. Villains don't cry themselves to sleep for years. They don't beg the universe to give them a second chance. Regina used to call me dramatic. Said I was always too much. Too loud, too emotional, too messy. She said it like a diagnosis. "You're just like your father," my mother used to snap. "Weak." She said it the day she found out I was pregnant. I was 16, shaking, holding a plastic stick in my hand with 2 pink lines on it. I told her it was Yahir's. She slapped me. Then she told me never to say his name again. Yahir was trash, according to her. A boy with no future, no pedigree, no place in our lives. She made sure he disappeared. I didn't find out how until years later. "You okay?" Sadie asked, nudging me as we stood by the hors d'oeuvres table. I blinked. "Yeah, just remembering." Sadie scanned the room. "This place is crawling with Botox and bad intentions." I laughed, tension breaking for a second. "You're not wrong." Yahir walked over, handing me a glass of water. "You need anything?" I shook my head. "You?" He looked around. "I'm good. Just waiting for someone to recognize me." As if on cue, a man in a navy blazer approached. "Hey, aren't you the guy from the Forbes list? The tech guy? Yahir something?" Yahir smiled. "That's me." Blazer guy turned to Regina, who was now visibly sweating under her makeup. "You didn't tell me you knew him." Regina forced a smile. "Oh, well, it's a long story." Blazer guy laughed. "Small world, huh?" She didn't answer, just stared at Yahir like he was a ghost. Meanwhile, Mia was sitting at a table with other kids her age, but she kept glancing at me. Every time our eyes met, she smiled. Every time, it felt like a punch to the chest. "I'm going to go say hi again," I said. Sadie touched my arm. "You sure?" I nodded. I walked over slowly, heart thudding. Mia looked up and scooted over on the bench like she'd been saving me a spot. "Hi again," she said. "Hi," I replied, sitting beside her. "You doing okay?" She nodded. "I like your dress. It looks like fire." I smiled. "Thanks. You look beautiful too." She shrugged. "My mum picked it." I hesitated. "Do you like your mum?" She paused. "She's nice to people at parties." That hit harder than I expected. I looked over at the kids' table. One girl whispered something to another, and they both looked at me. "Some of your friends?" I asked. Mia shrugged. They're Regina's friends' kids. Not really mine. I leaned in. You're handling this party like a pro. She grinned. I hate parties. I laughed. Me too. There was a beat of silence. Then she said, You smell like someone I used to know? I blinked. What do you mean? She shrugged. Sometimes I dream about a lady. She smells like vanilla and rain. She sings to me. My throat tightened. What does she sing? Mia tilted her head. I don't remember, but it makes me feel safe. I reached out, brushing a curl behind her ear. Maybe it's just a good dream. She looked at me, serious. You feel like her. Before I could respond, Regina's voice cut through the air like a knife. Mia, sweetie, come here for a second. Mia sighed and slid off the bench. I'll be back. I watched her walk away, my heart twisting in ways I didn't know it still could. Sadie appeared beside me again. Regina looks like she's about to combust. Good, I said. We made our way to the bar. Yahir was already there, sipping ginger ale. Hazel's been watching us like a hawk, he said. She's probably trying to figure out how we're still breathing, I replied. He chuckled. You know, they still think I work at a gas station, I snorted. Do they? He nodded. Your mum told me I'd never amount to anything. Said I'd drag you down. Sadie leaned in. And now you're worth more than her entire retirement plan. Yahir smirked. Funny how that works. Just then, Michael approached. Regina's husband. He looked confused, polite, and slightly drunk. Hey, he said. You're Thea, right? That's right, name. I've heard a lot about you. I'm sure you have. He glanced at Yahir. And you're Yahir. Michael's brow furrowed. Wait, weren't you? Yahir extended a hand. Nice to meet you. Michael shook it slowly. You look familiar. Regina appeared, gripping Michael's arm. We should go check on the cake. He looked at her. I'm just talking. I said now, she snapped. He blinked, surprised. Okay. They walked off. I caught Hazel's eye from across the room. Her stare could have curdled milk. She's going to try something, Yahir said. I'm counting on it. Sadie raised her glass. To the past. May it choke on the truth. We clinked glasses. And somewhere behind us, I heard Mia laugh. It was the first real sound of joy I'd heard all night. The string quartet shifted into something classical and pretentious as the servers began weaving through the crowd with silver trays of tiny food that looked more like art than anything edible. I stood near the fountain, watching guests sip champagne and pretend they weren't eavesdropping on every word around them. Yahir stood beside me, his hand brushing mine. You ready? I took a breath. Let's go say hello to the Queen herself. We moved toward the centre of the garden where Regina held court under a white canopy. She was surrounded by a cluster of people, lawyers, socialites, people who wore their wealth like perfume. She saw us coming and stiffened, her smile freezing like a cracked porcelain mask. Excuse me, she said to the group, then turned to face us. You're making quite the entrance tonight. Just returning the favour, I said. You did invite us. Her gaze flicked to Yahir. Still can't believe you brought him. Yahir smiled, smooth and calm. You should remember me. You once called me garbage. The woman standing next to Regina gasped softly. A man behind her choked on his drink. Regina's face went pale. That was a long time ago. 10 years, Yahir said. Seems like yesterday. Michael appeared behind her, holding a glass of red wine. What's going on? Nothing, Regina said quickly. Just catching up. Michael looked at Yahir. Wait, you're the guy from the robotics company, right? You were on CNBC last month. Yahir nodded. That was me. Michael laughed. Damn, that's wild. Regina, you didn't say you knew him. Regina's jaw clenched. We went to high school together. Really? Michael turned to Yahir. You dated? Yahir didn't blink. No, I dated her sister. Michael looked at me, then back at Regina. Seriously? Regina grabbed his arm. Can we not do this here? Michael raised his hands. All right. Just surprised, that's all. I stepped closer. It's funny, isn't it? How small the world is. Regina's eyes narrowed. You're trying to start something. No, I said. I'm just here for the party. You know, the one celebrating the legal erasure of my motherhood. Her mouth opened, but before she could speak, Mia came running over. Mum, can I have another cupcake? Regina turned, grateful for the distraction. Just one more. Mia looked at me. Do you want one too? I smiled. Sure. Let's get one together. Regina's hand shot out, catching Mia's arm. Actually, I need to talk to you for a second, sweetie. Mia frowned. But I want to go with Thea. Regina's voice softened. Fake sweet. Later, okay? Mia looked confused but nodded and walked off. I turned to Regina. You always were good at redirecting. She leaned in, voice low. What do you think you're doing? Attending a party, I said. You invited me. You're not going to ruin this for me. I tilted my head. Funny. I thought this was about Mia. She took a step closer. You don't get to show up after 10 years and act like you're her mother. I didn't flinch. I never stopped being her mother. You just borrowed her. Michael's head snapped toward me. What? Regina froze. You didn't tell him? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Michael looked between us. Tell me what? Regina grabbed his arm. Not here. He pulled away. Regina, what is she talking about? Regina's lips tightened. Let's go inside. Yahir stepped forward. Maybe he should hear it. Michael looked at me. You're Mia's... what? Aunt? I looked him in the eye. I'm her biological mother. Silence. Dead, heavy silence. Michael blinked. What? Regina adopted her? I said. After my family pressured me into signing over my rights. I was 17. He stared at Regina. You told me she was abandoned. Regina's face crumbled. I didn't say that. You said she left, that she didn't want the baby. I was trying to protect Mia. Michael stepped back. From what? The truth? From chaos, Regina snapped. From a mother who couldn't even take care of herself. Yahir's voice was calm. She could have, but your family made sure she couldn't. Regina turned on him. You don't know anything about us. I know enough, he said. I know you lied. To me, to Thea, to Mia. Michael looked at Regina again. You knew he was the father? Regina didn't answer. He shook his head. Jesus, Regina. She reached for him. Michael. He pulled away. I need a minute. He walked off. Regina turned to me, fury in every line of her face. You think this makes you a hero? No, I said. It makes me honest. She laughed bitterly. You're pathetic. You're scared, I said. And you should be. She took a step back, chest rising and falling. You don't know what it's like to raise a child, to be responsible for everything. I do, I said. I just never got the chance. She didn't respond. I walked away. Back inside, the music had shifted. Guests were whispering. The air was thick with tension. Sadie met me near the bar. That was a bomb. I nodded. And it's only the first one. Yahir came up behind me, placing a hand on my back. You okay? I looked toward the hallway where Mia had gone. Not yet, I said. But I'm getting there. The kitchen smelled like rosemary and tension. Hazel stood by the island, slicing lemon wedges with surgical precision. Her back was straight, her face unreadable. I stepped in, closing the door behind me. You always did hide in the kitchen when things got messy, I said. She didn't look up. I don't hide. I clean up. I leaned against the counter. Looks like you've got quite the mess tonight. She placed the knife down, finally turning to face me. You had no right to come here. I had every right. You gave her up. You took her. She walked around the island slowly, like a lion circling prey. You were 17, unstable. You couldn't even keep a job at the grocery store. I was grieving. You made sure I had nothing left. Her eyes narrowed. I saved that child from a life of chaos. I stepped forward. You mean from me? You told Yahir I had a miscarriage. You intercepted his letters. You lied. She didn't flinch. He was a distraction, a boy with no future. He's her father. Biology doesn't make a parent. Neither does manipulation. Her jaw tightened. You were never going to make it. You were always the dramatic one, the one who cried too much, who fought too hard, who never knew when to shut up. I laughed, bitter. And Regina? She was the golden child, the one who did everything you wanted, even stole a baby to keep the family image perfect. She didn't steal anything. You signed the papers. After you cornered me in a hospital room, told me I was a danger to my own child, and said Yahir abandoned me. You were hysterical. I had just given birth. Hazel's voice dropped low. You should have stayed gone, Thea. I stepped close, so close I could see the faint tremble in her hands. Too bad. I brought the past with me. She stared at me for a long moment. You think anyone's going to believe your version of things? You're still unstable. You're still a mess. I pulled a folded paper from my purse and set it gently on the counter. That's a copy of the financial agreement you made with Regina, the one where you promised to cover her law school debt if she took Mia. Her face went pale. Funny, I said. Doesn't sound like a selfless adoption. Sounds like a transaction. You don't know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. The door creaked open. Sadie poked her head in. Everything okay in here? I smiled. Peachy. Hazel turned away, picking up the lemon wedges like she could slice her way out of this. Back outside, the party had shifted. The music was louder, the drinks stronger, but the energy was off. People were whispering, watching. Yahir stood near the gift table, flipping through a small notebook. He looked up as I approached. You all right? He asked. I nodded. Hazel's rattled. She should be. He handed me the notebook. I was thinking we give this to Mia during the gift portion. It's got photos of you, from the last 10 years, stuff Sadie helped me collect. I flipped through the pages. There I was, smiling on a beach, holding a tiny dog, signing my first book deal, every photo a piece of the life I built after they buried me. She's going to have questions. She deserves answers. A bell rang out, soft and chiming. Regina's voice followed through a microphone. Everyone, if I could have your attention, we're about to start the gift portion of the evening. We made our way to the front lawn, where a table was stacked with wrapped boxes and gift bags. Mia stood beside Regina, bouncing on her heels. Regina smiled, too wide. We're so grateful for everyone's support. Mia is the light of our lives, and today marks a new chapter for our family. Yahir leaned in and whispered, Ready? I nodded. When it was our turn, I stepped forward, the notebook in my hands. Yahir followed with a wrapped box. Regina's smile faltered. You don't have to. We want to, I said. Mia's eyes lit up. Presents? Yahir knelt beside her. This is from both of us. She tore the paper off the box first, revealing a first edition of The Unmothering, my memoir, the one I published under a pen name. Her fingers traced the embossed title. Then she opened the notebook. She flipped through the pages slowly. Her brow furrowed. That's me, she whispered, pointing to a photo of me holding a baby. That's you, I said. She looked up. Who took these? I did, Yahir said. And Sadie. And some were mailed to me. Mia turned to the last page. A photo of the three of us, me, Yahir, and a baby, wrapped in a yellow blanket. She looked at me. Is this real? I nodded. She turned to Yahir. Are you my real dad? A sharp gasp cut through the crowd. Regina's face crumbled. Yahir met Mia's eyes. Yes, sweetheart, I am. Regina stepped forward. Mia, honey, come here. Michael stood up from his chair. Is this true? Regina didn't respond. Mia looked at me. Then who am I? You're still you, I said softly. But you deserve to know the truth. Regina grabbed the microphone. This is not the time. Michael pulled it from her hand. It's exactly the time. Hazel stood frozen near the back, her mouth a tight line. Mia clutched the notebook to her chest. Why didn't anyone tell me? Regina tried to speak, but no words came. I knelt beside Mia. Because they were afraid. But I'm not afraid anymore. She looked at me, eyes shining. You smell like my dreams. I hugged her, and for the first time in 10 years, I felt whole. Mia didn't let go of the notebook. She clutched it like it was a life raft, her little fingers curled tight around the edges. The crowd was still in stunned silence as if someone had hit pause on the entire party. Regina stood frozen, her champagne flute dangling uselessly in one hand. Hazel had moved closer, arms crossed, face unreadable. Michael looked like he'd just been hit by a truck. "Is this some kind of joke?" he asked, voice low but sharp. "No," I said. "It's the truth." Yahir stepped forward, pulling a folded paper from his jacket. "This is a certified paternity test. I had it done last month. I wanted to be sure before we said anything." Michael took it, scanned it, and then looked at Regina. "You knew?" Regina's lips parted, but no sound came out. "You knew," he repeated, louder this time. "And you lied to me. For years." "I was trying to protect her," Regina said finally. "Protect all of us." Michael shook his head. "From what? Her parents?" Regina looked at Mia, then back at us. "You weren't there. You don't know what it was like. She was spiraling. She couldn't even look at the baby without crying." "I had just given birth," I snapped. "I was exhausted and alone. You made sure of that." Hazel stepped in then, voice cold. "This isn't the time or place." "It's exactly the time," Yahir said. "You threw this party to celebrate a lie. We're just setting the record straight." Mia looked up at me. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" I crouched beside her. "Because they didn't want you to know. But you deserve the truth. You always did." She turned to Yahir. "And you're really my dad?" He nodded. "I am. I always was." Her eyes filled with tears. "Did you look for me?" He knelt too. "Every day." Regina stepped toward us. "Mia, come here, please." Mia didn't move. "I said come here," Regina repeated, voice cracking. Michael stepped in front of her. "Stop!" Regina's face twisted. "You don't get to tell me how to talk to my daughter." "She's not your daughter," I said. "She's mine." Regina's voice rose. "You gave her up." "Because you manipulated me," I snapped. "Because you and Mum made sure I had no one and nothing." Hazel's voice cut through like ice. "You were unstable. We did what was best for the child." "No," I said. "You did what was best for you." Someone in the crowd whispered, "Jesus." Michael looked around at the guests. "Maybe we should all take a breath." "No," I said, standing. "Let them hear this. Let everyone hear what happened." I turned to the crowd. 10 years ago, I gave birth to this beautiful girl. I was 17. I was scared, but I loved her. I loved her so much it hurt. And instead of helping me, my family told me I wasn't good enough, that I was broken, that I would ruin her. My voice shook, but I didn't stop. They told her father I lost the baby. They told me he abandoned me. They cut us both out of the picture and handed Mia over like she was a problem to be solved. I looked at Regina. "You didn't adopt her out of love. You did it to prove you were better than me." Regina's hands clenched to her sides. "That's not true." "Then why lie to Michael? Why lie to her?" She didn't answer. I turned to Hazel. "You always said I was too emotional, too dramatic, too much. But I wasn't the problem. You were." Hazel's face didn't change, but her eyes flicked to the people watching. "You think you became her mother that day," I said to Regina. "But I never stopped being her mother. You just borrowed her." Mia tugged on my sleeve. "Can I come with you?" Regina's mouth dropped open. "Mia, it's okay," I said gently. "Not tonight, but soon." Mia nodded, wiping her eyes. I want to know you." "You will," I promised. Yahir put a hand on my back. "We're not going anywhere." Michael looked at Regina. "We're done here." He turned and walked away. Regina stood there, alone, her perfect world crumbling around her. Hazel grabbed her arm. "We'll fix this." "No," I said, "you won't." Sadie appeared beside me, holding out my purse. "You ready?" I nodded. Mia hugged me again, tight and trembling. "Don't be a stranger." I kissed her forehead. "You know where to find me now, and this time I won't let go." We walked out of that garden like it was a battlefield, and behind us, the empire they built on lies began to fall. Regina chased after Michael, heels snapping across the stone path like gunshots. "Michael, wait! Please!" He didn't stop. He kept walking toward the driveway, yanking his car keys from his pocket. "Can we just talk?" she begged, grabbing his arm. He turned, eyes blazing. Talk? You had 10 years to talk. You let me believe I adopted a child abandoned by her mother. You let me believe you were the hero. I was trying to protect her? No, he said. You were protecting your image. She blinked fast, like she could cry her way out of this. You don't understand. My mother, she said. I don't care what your mother said, he snapped. You lied. And now I have to explain to a 10-year-old that I helped keep her from her real parents. He shook her off and got in the car. The engine roared to life. Regina stood there, motionless, as he pulled away. Inside, the party was unravelling. Guests were murmuring, drifting toward the exits. The string quartet had stopped playing. Even the servers looked uncomfortable. Hazel stormed back into the house, heading straight for the den. I followed, close behind her. You're not done with me, I said. She spun around. You think you've won something? I didn't come here to win. I came to tell the truth. She laughed, cold and bitter. You think the truth matters? All that matters is what people believe. Then they're about to believe a whole lot more, I said, pulling a folder from my purse. You remember this? Her face went still. These are records of every wire transfer you made to Regina the year Mia was born, I said, including the one labelled school settlement. You paid her to take my daughter. It was support, she said quickly. Help? No, it was coercion. And I have a lawyer who agrees. She stepped closer. You're not taking her back. I'm not stealing her, I said. I'm her mother. And so is Yahir, and we're not going away. Hazel's voice dropped low. You want to drag this family through the mud? Fine, but don't pretend it's for Mia. This is about revenge. I looked her in the eye. It's about justice. She sneered. You're still the same selfish little girl. No, I said. I grew up. You just never noticed. Sadie poked her head in. CPS rep's on the phone. Wants to schedule a meeting. Hazel's eyes widened. You called Child Protective Services. I didn't, I said. But my lawyer did. There's a process now, a review, especially in cases where adoption was influenced by coercion and fraud. You're bluffing. I held up the folder. Then sue me. She didn't speak, just turned and walked out of the room. Back outside, Regina was sitting on a bench near the fountain, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She looked up as I approached. You destroyed everything, she said. No, I said. You did that when you lied. She shook her head. You don't know what it was like. Mum said you were unstable. She said Yahir was gone. I believed her. You didn't ask questions. You didn't care. I loved her, she said. I still do. I know, I said. But love doesn't mean ownership. She wiped her face. What are you going to do now? I'm not tearing her away from you, I said. But I'm not disappearing again either. Yahir and I are petitioning for shared custody. The courts will decide. Regina's voice cracked. They'll take her from me. Maybe, I said. Maybe not. But she deserves the truth. And she deserves all of us to stop pretending this is normal. She looked down at her hands. I thought I was doing the right thing. You thought you were doing the easy thing, I said. And you got away with it. Until now. She didn't argue. I turned to walk away, but she called after me. Why now? Why come back? I paused. Because I finally had the strength to. And because she deserves to know who she is. Back at the car, Yahir was leaning against the hood, arms crossed. You all right? He asked. I nodded. They're cracking. He smiled. Good. Sadie handed me my phone. Lawyer says we're good to go for Monday. First step's a mediation meeting. I let out a breath. Okay. Yahir opened the car door for me. You were incredible in there. I wasn't trying to be. You didn't have to try, he said. You just told the truth. As we pulled away, I looked back once. Hazel was standing at the window, staring down at us. Regina was still on the bench, alone, and Mia, somewhere inside that house, was holding a notebook full of memories she never knew she had. I whispered, We're coming for you, baby girl. And this time, no lie would stand in our way. Regina slammed the folder shut and stood, her voice shaking. You're not taking her. We're not here to fight, I said calmly. We're here to talk. The mediator, a soft-spoken woman in her 50s, looked between us. Let's keep this constructive. Regina crossed her arms, jaw clenched. You show up after 10 years, drop a bomb at my daughter's party, and now you want to play house? Yahir leaned forward. We're not playing anything. We're her parents, and we want to be part of her life. She has a life, Regina snapped. A school, friends, a routine. You think you can just waltz in and rearrange everything? No, I said. But we can start being present. Mia's old enough to ask questions. She already has. Regina looked at the mediator. This is ridiculous. I've raised her since birth. I've been her mother. And you still can be, the mediator said gently. But that doesn't erase their rights, especially now that paternity's confirmed and we have evidence of coercion in the original adoption. Regina's eyes darted to me. You're trying to punish me. I'm trying to give Mia the truth, I said. You don't get to gatekeep her life forever. She sat down hard, the fight draining from her face. You don't understand. If I lose her, I lose everything. No, I said. You lose control. There's a difference. The mediator cleared her throat. Let's talk about next steps. We're recommending supervised visits to start. Gradual integration. We'll review after 30 days. Regina didn't speak. Yahir nodded. We're fine with that. I looked at Regina. You can be part of this, or you can make it harder than it needs to be. She looked away. After the meeting, I stepped into the hallway and leaned against the wall. My legs felt like jelly. Sadie appeared beside me, handing me a coffee. You didn't punch her. I'm proud of you. I laughed weakly. I wanted to. Yahir joined us, checking his phone. Mia's school counselor just confirmed. She's cleared to start meeting with us next week. I took the coffee and sipped. It's really happening. Sadie grinned. Told you. Truth always wins. Eventually. Later that afternoon, we met Mia at the park. She came running across the grass, her curls bouncing, the notebook still clutched in her hands. You came, she said, launching herself into my arms. I hugged her tight. Told you I would. Yahir knelt beside us. Hey, superstar. She grinned. Hi, Dad. He blinked, caught off guard. You okay? She asked. He smiled. Yeah, just never thought I'd hear you say that. She shrugged. It feels right. We sat on a bench while she flipped through the notebook again. Who took this one? She asked, pointing to a photo of me holding a paintbrush. Paint smudged on my nose. Sadie, I said. She's the reason I didn't fall apart. Sadie waved from the swing set. Hi, kiddo. Mia giggled. She's funny. She's the best, I said. Mia looked up at me. Why did you leave? I swallowed hard. I didn't want to, but I was really young, and I was scared, and people told me I wasn't good enough. But you are, she said simply. I smiled through the sting in my chest. Thank you. She leaned against me. I have dreams sometimes, about a woman singing. It's your voice. Yahir looked at me, eyes wet. I reached for Mia's hand. I used to sing to you every night, I whispered. She nodded. I remember. We sat there in silence for a while, watching the sun dip below the trees. When it was time to go, she hugged us both tight. Will I see you tomorrow? She asked. Every chance we get, I said. She smiled. Good. I missed you before I even knew why. As we walked back to the car, Yahir slipped his hand into mine. You okay? He asked. I looked back at the park, at Mia waving from the swing. I am now. That night, Regina called. Her voice was small. She came home asking about lullabies, about vanilla and rain. She said you smell like her dreams. I didn't know what to say. She asked if she could call you Mom. I waited. I told her yes, Regina said quietly. Because she already does. I closed my eyes. Thank you. She still loves me, she said. But she's starting to see the cracks. She'll love you through them, if you let her. Regina's voice broke. I don't know who I am without her. You're still her aunt. You're still family. That doesn't have to change. There was a long pause. I don't want to fight anymore. Then don't, I said. Let's do better. For her. She hung up without saying goodbye, but it was something. The next morning, Mia called me first. Can I come over this weekend? She asked. I looked at Yahir, who was already nodding. Yeah, baby, I said. You can. And this time, no one could stop us. The conference room was quiet except for the soft shuffle of papers and the occasional clink of a coffee cup. Across the table, Regina sat with her lawyer, hands folded tightly in her lap. Her hair wasn't slicked back like usual. Today, it hung loose around her face. She looked tired. Real. The mediator cleared her throat. We've reviewed the agreement. Both parties have agreed to joint legal custody. Primary residence will remain with Regina, but Thayer and Yahir will have scheduled visitations and shared decision-making rights. Regina nodded slowly. I signed first. Yahir followed, his hand steady. Regina stared at the pen for a long time before picking it up. She signed. And just like that, the war ended. Outside the courthouse, the air felt different. Lighter. Yahir exhaled. We did it. I nodded. We did. Regina walked out a few minutes later, alone. Her lawyer had already left. She stopped a few feet away from us. I'm not going to pretend this is easy for me, she said. I'm not asking you to, I replied. She looked at Yahir. She talks about you all the time now, wants to build a robot with you. Yahir smiled. I'd love that. Regina turned to me. She asked if she could stay over at your place next weekend. I waited. I told her yes, she said. Thank you. She hesitated, then added, Don't shut me out. I won't. I meant it. She gave a short nod, then walked to her car without another word. Yahir and I stood there for a moment, letting it sink in. Let's go pick up our girl, he said. Mia ran down the school steps, backpack bouncing, curls flying. Mum! She yelled. I crouched just in time to catch her as she launched into my arms. Hey, baby, I whispered into her hair. She pulled back, grinning. Guess what? What? I told my teacher I have 3 parents now. She said that's lucky. Yahir ruffled her hair. Smart teacher. Mia looked up at him. Can we go to the Science Museum this weekend? They have a new robot exhibit. You bet, he said. And can we make pancakes again at your house? The kind with chocolate chips? I laughed. Of course. You're the boss. She beamed. We walked to the car, her hand in mine, Yahir on her other side. She talked the whole way, about a book she was reading, a girl in her class who wore glitter shoes, and how she wanted to be an inventor and a writer and maybe a detective. At home, she dropped her backpack by the door and kicked off her shoes. Sadie was already in the kitchen. Hey, superstar, she called. Mia ran in and hugged her. I missed you. Sadie grinned. I missed you too. You ready for movie night? Yes, but first I have to show you something. She dug into her backpack and pulled out a drawing. It showed 3 stick figures holding hands, one with big curly hair, one with glasses, and one with a beard. Above them, in bright letters, she'd written, My family. Sadie's eyes filled. That's beautiful, kiddo. Mia handed it to me. It's for you. I knelt down. I'm going to frame it. She smiled. You're not going to cry, are you? I laughed. Only a little. Later, after Mia fell asleep on the couch mid-movie, her head in my lap and her feet in Yahir's, Sadie turned down the volume and whispered, You did it. I looked at my daughter, peaceful and safe. No, I said. We did. Yahir brushed a curl from Mia's forehead. She's going to be okay. She already is. The doorbell rang. I frowned. Who? I opened it to find my father standing there, holding a paper bag and looking like he hadn't slept in days. Hi, he said. I blinked. Dad? He nodded. I brought you some of your old baby stuff from the attic. Thought maybe Mia would want it. I stepped aside. Come in. He walked in slowly, eyes scanning the room. He saw Mia asleep on the couch and smiled softly. She looks like you did. When you were little. I nodded. He turned to me. I should have done something. Back then. I should have stood up to your mother. You didn't, I said. I know. He swallowed hard. But I want to do better now. If you'll let me. I looked at him for a long moment. 1 step at a time. He nodded. That's fair? He set the bag down gently. There's a stuffed giraffe in there. She used to chew on the ears. I smiled. Thanks. He turned to leave, then paused. You're a good mum, Thea. I didn't say anything. He walked out. Sadie came up behind me. That felt like a plot twist. I laughed. Yeah, life's full of them. I looked back at Mia, still sleeping, her hand curled around the edge of a blanket. I lost her once by being weak. I found her again by being strong. And this time, no one is taking her from me.